The Super Mario Bros. Movie is the highest grossing video game movie of all time and the third highest animated film of all time. And heading into 2026, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is even more important for Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch 2. We're going to talk about just how important the Super Mario Galaxy movie is, what other Nintendo series would be awesome on the big screen or as a TV show, and what are the greatest video game adaptations of all time. Welcome everybody to Just Keep Playing, and welcome to the show. Terrence of Hollywood Already Did It. Today, we're going to be talking about the Super Mario movie and the Super Mario Galaxy movie. What's up, Terrence?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on to the show.
Of
How you
course.
doing?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm excited to jump into some Mario. I did not realize how much Mario's been a part of my life until I
Yeah,
started doing some of my homework for the show.
right. Yeah, like man, what we just had the kickoff for the 40 years, 40 years of Mario. So that's quite a few touching
Most
points
of
throughout our
the
lives.
right. Yeah,
Like pretty much not a point in my life where there wasn't something Mario going on.
exactly.
All right, so like just to like get into this, we'll kick things right off. What do you think is the overall importance of the Mario movie for Nintendo and for the Nintendo Switch 2 heading into 2026?
Um, Overall importance. Wow. I would say because the Mario did so well, like that first one did really well for them. I think they need to make sure that that wasn't a fluke. And I think now that they're kind of spreading their wings and they got a live action Zelda in the tuck coming up behind it, this is sort of their way to say, all right, now we are a studio, now we are a production company, and we're going to be doing this long term. And for them to have their two big boys coming out the gate first, they can't let another round of Mario, especially with the Blue Bomber. I mean, not the Blue Bomber. Sonic doing so well on the other end. They need
Yeah,
to make sure that they can continue that wave on their side, so that they can continue to branch out and do more of their IPs that they want out of their house. Um, for me, I have a kiddo now, and so
hmm
I would love to sort of get him. And he's not playing games yet, but he's very well aware of who Mario is, and so I would love to sort of keep that legacy going. And so, 40 years for him, he also has Mario kind of being a part of his life. I feel like this is a franchise that's just not. It's never going. It's kind of like Ninja Turtles. It's never
yeah,
going away. It's just going to always be around.
yeah. Each generation will have like their
Their
version of
version.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good talking point that you brought in because we talk about the overall importance, and one of the key things of why Nintendo has mentioned multiple times of why they started branching out into movies and to with amusement parks and their merch and all that stuff is increasing those touch points to get people into their characters and into their world, and then ultimately to maybe entice them into buying their buying their video games, which is that's their bread and butter there.
hmm
And I think for me, I think that is one of the overall like important levels for the Mario movie is that now like with the Switch, they don't have or the Switch 2, that's their only system. They don't have that dedicated handheld like they had back in the day
Yeah.
to fall back onto. So it's like now their other pillars are coming from the movie side of things and the amusement park side of things. But in some ways, I think that like along with the games, the movies bring that extra layer of excitement around their products that you may like. Yeah, there's some excitement for the amusement park, but the movies like connect you to the characters to make you want to go see them
hmm
at the amusement park.
I also think that they have a bit of a disadvantage in that their animated shows or Mario weren't really available or around versus something like Kids, even before that first Sonic movie came out, kids were very aware of Sonic because Sonic was still sort of in zeitgeist with all the cartoons that were happening. Like it was still known. Mario sort and Nintendo sort of did a kind of a messed up job of getting new fans. They had the fans that were already there, but getting the new fans, they sort of missed a couple of years of that. So now this is kind of been playing catch up and like, all right, look, let's try to gain them back and gain them now, and then create a world where we will then be fostering in new Mario folks throughout all this time. So they're not that far behind, but I think they were a little bit behind because Sonic just had a that sort of finger on like the kids because Netflix was still playing Sonic cartoons where Mario didn't really have that venue to still attach themselves to the kiddos yet.
Yeah. If anything, like it was those things that probably kept Sonic relevant more than the
Yeah,
video games
the
because
games were because their last Sonic games have not been good for
yeah,
decades.
yeah, they have not
Yeah,
been great. Sonic fans don't kill us. I love
I'm
Sonic.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yes.
It is what it is. So yeah, definitely like though having those TV shows, having those movies have keep it relevant and worth something more than what the games actually like sell.
Yeah,
But
it's just keeping an imprint on like the multimedia side of it. Whereas you're and they were smart because their games were lacking, so they kept their footprint on this. Whereas Nintendo on the other side had significantly better games, but they weren't staying in touch with the non gaming fans to keep them sort of coming along.
yeah, and then so definitely I want to get your opinion on this. So for those that don't know, Terrence, he's a part of Hollywood Already Did It. That they'll be linked in the comments. So go check out his YouTube channel where they review and have podcast discussions on movies and TV shows. So he's deep into the film industry there. And so speaking to that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've seen it even lately with like Marvel and stuff. The film industry can be a fickle place
To
where
say the least.
yeah. So you have that huge success one day, everybody's loving you, including the studios and stuff like that. But one falter, and now there are questions.
They'll remove your history as if you never had stats and banners that you
Right.
could hang up in the rafters. Yeah, they do that quickly. Marvel's probably the biggest one of that. Like you had a decade plus run of just a hit after hit, and if you take a little bit more, and I don't think what they're doing currently are stumbles, but when you have moments where it's not as good or the quality of what it was previously, everything gets thrown out. And I fear that when you only have one film that's kind of on your docket, it's
Yeah.
easier to do that if you mess up coming out the second time. And so it's very important that they continue that sort of string of hits, uh,
Yeah.
both with this and with the live action Zelda, to make sure that they can keep that sort of that what we would call the Nintendo brand quality, that quality control at a
Yeah.
high level.
Yeah. And just yeah, it's like super important for them because it's like pretty much they don't have that cachet in Hollywood that like a Marvel has had, where even though like maybe Marvel themselves didn't have their MCU like they had going, we still had through the years we had X-Men, we
And
had
Blade,
Spider-Man and
right.
Blade and all of that. So with the Nintendo right now, it's like they're like one at a time, and like each one is like a proving ground.
Right. And because unlike with Marvel has like a plethora of characters to play for. Nintendo, it's just kind of a small window that they have to play with. And so that's why coming out and using your two jokers out the gate, you got to
Yeah,
get those two right before you can play around with any of the other things that come after them.
yeah. Like those have to hit to where people like see Nintendo and movies and they're like, okay, that's going to be a banger. So now you bring in something that's maybe a little bit smaller, then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll give that a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty much like that was definitely the MCU template. They well, even though they started off with a little bit lesser, but their their quality was so good that they could go with even a lesser known name like Guardians of the Galaxy,
Right.
and people would be like, "Yeah, I'm going to see it. I
Okay.
don't know who they
Sure.
are,
Yeah.
but I'm in."
Talking tree and a raccoon. I guess sign me up, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But so also we, talking about, the one of the main pillars for Nintendo is their video games and their video game consoles. And the Nintendo Switch 2 just came out. It's doing really well for just being a few months into its life. But it has yet to see one of the games that a lot of people, a lot of fans are waiting to see, and that is that next big Mario 3D game. So speaking of the Mario movie, like how important do you think the success of the Mario movie would help in making the next 3D Mario game bigger than what maybe they even saw with the Super Mario Odyssey on the original Switch?
Hmm, good question. I think the goal for these Mario movies should be to turn them or get some type of turnover into gamers. Like even if it's a small percentage, like if you're making billion, which this one was one of the highest grossing films, if you're making a third of that and turning those folks over into gamers, you've done your job. And so to do that, you're gonna have to pick some of the things that work and what brought them to the eyeballs to your games. And whatever that may be, it might even be a little bit more humor to your games. You want to have some things that the movies have that the games typically don't have to keep that audience connected. And it's always been weird with Mario, and I think this is what has sort of been a disconnect in that I'm going to keep using them because their franchises are going kind of side by side how they do this. But
Yeah.
Sonic has always sort of had a personality. Like he's always sort of, what he is. He's the quote unquote
Yeah.
hip, cool kid,
Yeah.
teenager, if you will. He's always had a personality. That personality sort of always has shown on from the game there was no real variance in that. Whereas with the Mario, most of the time in the games, outside of him saying his catchphrases, there was no personality sort of shown for
Yeah.
Mario, and sort of kind of there was this sort of disconnect. So when you see the version on the game, that's kind of the first version of that you get. Take whether you think it's good or bad, but it would be good if some of that personality that you get in that movie version also then translated over to the movie, so they can show that there's a bigger connection and that this is from this point on, this is who Mario is all the time.
Yeah.
I think that would help a lot in sort of connecting those two audiences together.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And do you have a Switch 2 yet at all?
I do not. I
No.
do not. It took me a minute to actually get my Switch One
Yeah.
when I finally got that. But I do not have a Switch Two only because my gaming has lessened a little bit with
Yeah. Yeah.
being a papa,
Yeah.
and then
Family
working.
time.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's probably my gift to myself for the holidays
Nice.
if I can find one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I bring that up because have you been following everything that's going on with like Donkey Kong Bonanza?
I have.
So with Donkey Kong Bonanza, to me, as of right now, I definitely I think maybe when the next 3D Mario come out, that it'll take that next step. But for me, right now, Donkey Kong Bonanza has set a new standard for 3D platformers, especially for Nintendo. And one of the key reasons why, in my opinion, for that is that this is when it comes to their 3D platforms, platformers, this feels like you're going on a proper adventure. And a lot of that is because they actually finally stepped into the current day and age and gave their human characters an actual voice, and there was voice acting in that
Who knew?
game, right? And so, like, Pauline, the human character in that game, um, her talking, and that helps bring the world to life and
Mhm.
helps you attach to her relationship with Donkey Kong and helps you to just feel all the different story beats in that game to where it did feel like this was you were playing like a Disney Pixar game but as a Donkey Kong game. So now heading into the next big 3D Mario game, we will have two movies by that point. So people have gotten used to
Mhm.
hearing Mario actually talk,
Mhm.
having full-on sentences, and not having to do it in the "It's a me" voice,
The
for
very somewhat troubling version of it.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just a little bit more sparse in there at the right
Yeah.
moments,
Yeah.
but so now people are used to hearing Mario have a voice, even Bowser having a voice.
Mhm.
So, I think that the movie's impact on the games, maybe hopefully, could be to finally put voice into the Mario 3D games to enhance the
Yeah.
story and adventure along with the gameplay that we already know is going to be fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, what's your overall excitement level heading into the Super Mario Galaxy movie? And do you have any close ties with the Super Mario Galaxy games?
Um, so I'll start with the first question. My excitement. It's interesting. My excitement was super high going into the first film.
Yeah,
And I came out kind of I enjoyed what I saw, but it didn't hit me the way that I think I wanted it to. And so it felt a little underwhelming, mainly in the fact that I think they did a good job of building this world and putting this world together, but I don't think there was a story that connected to me. It that Mario at the beginning of that movie felt like very much the same, as he didn't really grow or change or alter too much to the end of the movie. And I
right.
think because a lot of the things they were kind of playing a lot of the greatest hits of Mario, which, hey, as a Mario fan, sign
Yeah,
me up. Let him go Mario Kart. I want to see all of those things.
yeah,
But as the film version of me, a person who gets a little bit more critical with movies, it kind of was like, I'm not getting satisfied on my film half of my brain, but my Mario half of my brain is like, this, keep giving this to me. And so
yeah,
kind of was torn in the middle of that. And so I haven't revisited, outside of watching it once with my kid, I haven't really truly revisited this film, other than the one time after the original time that I watched it. And so my excitement level this time is a little bit more in the middle.
yeah,
Um, it probably, I'm not gonna lie, it will probably amp up a little bit more once we get a full trailer as opposed to the teaser that they gave us, or once they
yeah,
started feeding me a little bit more. Once I hear that theme music and it gets into my veins, I'm gonna probably start feeling a little bit more amped about it overall. But in
yeah,
the moment, not overly excited as I was when the first one came out.
yeah,
Not to say though, especially having by that point, he'll be fine. Yeah, I will have a kid we're gonna go see that day one
yeah,
because it's happening.
yeah,
Um, my level of playing Galaxy. So this is interesting. My Mario isms or my Mario world. I was trying to figure out when it all kind of, because I had a moment where it sort of, I won't say stop, but came to a halt. Where I was in every Mario game for like the longest period of time, and then I think right after Sunshine, right before Galaxy, like I
mm,
kind of had sort of a pause. I love Sunshine. Sunshine doesn't get enough love. Sunshine, stop hating on Sunshine.
yeah, overrated.
Um, but between those two, I kind of fell off a lot, and so my Galaxy memories, they're talking about a game that for me does not hold the weight that some of the other ones do. And so that
Yeah,
might also play into why my excitement isn't as high, as because like versus Sunshine or Mario World or Mario 64, those are the ones that kind of hold more of a impact on me in my life.
yeah,
By the time that we got Galaxies, that kind of faded down a little bit. And so I'm in because I know they're going to incorporate stuff from like they you can't go from where they ended that first movie then just jump all the way up to Galaxies without talking about some of the stuff in between, especially when they ended with having a teaser for Yoshi. Like he's a
yeah,
part, like this is all a part of that. And so I
yeah,
know I will get fed with some of the bridging between Mario World and 64 and all that stuff too.
yeah,
But my knowledge of Galaxies and what it all is isn't as big as it is for that mid 90s 98 run of Mario is like sort of my sweet spot.
yeah. I get
And then I
that.
play Wonder quite a bit. I don't know how all of a sudden I jumped up. I think I just suddenly came back and said, well, I'm back in again. But
Right.
that's sort of what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. But Wonder, yeah, I loved Wonder. That was fantastic. um, but yeah, it was. I thought it was interesting initially that they jumped going straight from Super Mario Bros. Movie, and then everybody thought that Naturally World would be next,
I
but we
did.
we jump
Yeah.
straight to Galaxy. But I just rewatched the movie, and they actually threw out little breadcrumbs throughout the first movie to let you know that Galaxy might be the next one. Just with one, the character that stole the show in the
Oh,
first movie, the the
yes.
the, the blue the blue Luma.
Yes.
Oh man, I love that character. Like that was already like a little hint, like, where
Hmm.
did this random Luma come from, and why are they there without any of their other people there? And then there's the moment where Mario and Princess Peach were just walking on their journey to try to get to the Kongs and everything,
Hmm.
and Peach said, when Mario asked if she was from his world, is she like, oh well, who knows? There's many
Many, yeah.
galaxies out
Hmm.
there, so it's like the little breadcrumbs were there, and then even with the spoiler, if you haven't seen it already, but the little Yoshi teaser at the end,
Right.
Yoshi played a huge part in Galaxy 2. So that Yoshi teaser does kind of like, it would have made sense for World, but it also makes
Right.
sense for Galaxy as well. Um, my excitement level, like just because of how much I love the first movie, and I already know like I'm seeing it, so I'm excited for it.
Right.
Um, I think the Galaxy games are they're some of the greatest games of all time. And I'll ask you this question in a second, but I think that if they take what made the Galaxy games special, I think that might solve some of the problems that you had with the first Mario movie in the Super Mario Galaxy sequel, and that's with the addition of the character Rosalina. Her story in there in the Galaxy games, she has a little bit of that somber, melancholy tale going on, because the whole like throughout the game, she's reading through this storybook of, you know, her journey and her life and what she lost and what she's missing and all of these hurts and pains that she has. So if they adapt that right, I think it could definitely be the story point that provides the emotion and the heart that you're looking for, from these family movies. But the question that I have is, what would help make the next Mario movie a better movie for you?
I think it'll really work because if you use the first one, it's kind of like I always say a prequel or like a preamble to say, hey, this is what we're going to do to introduce the stories. I think in this one, I want some big heroic journey from Mario. Like if we're making these movies, then we need to show him grow and become the hero that I think we all sort of expect him to be. And yes, it could be reluctant because he's still learning the ropes and not quite there yet. But I would
Yeah,
like it by the end of it, like, okay, this is the guy that people in this galaxy, this world come to when stuff goes wrong. Like this is the
yeah,
guy that we gotta come to. A big heroic moment where a lot of the moments I think it didn't feel earned or someone else was also heroic and it sort of had taken away from Mario's, which is
yeah,
fine. I don't mind Princess having her moment. I don't mind Luigi having their moment. Um,
yeah,
but the name on the title card
yeah,
says Mario, and he should have a moment where you're like, oh, that's the guy.
yeah,
And he's shown from being the sort of, won't say cowardice because that's not who he is, but it's like sort of the I've fallen into this work not because I am a hero. It's just sort of fallen upon me. Whereas I want him to sort of say, nope. All right, you need help.
yeah,
All right, I'm going to go do it. That's kind of what I need to have a moment of that. Even it doesn't have to be massive. He doesn't have to actually verbalize it, but as long as you can feel that character switch in the movie, where it's like, he's got it
yeah,
now. He's in hero mode.
yeah,
That would be sort of the satisfying moment for me. in a
Okay.
in a second film.
Yeah. No, yeah, I can definitely get that. Like, feel like the first movie, it was more that like, okay, we just want to set things up and just have the world there. So it wasn't a whole lot of growth for him. But like, yeah, in like these games, like especially like all of the games, but especially like in the RPGs and stuff like that, where you have a lot more text to read and everything.
Yeah,
Mario is revered, for how
right.
the type of hero that he is.
Like they call from other cities, like, "Hey, where's Mario at? Like we need to get this fixed now."
Yeah. So much so that they disrespect Luigi.
Right.
Like like, "Luigi, you cool, but where's your brother?" So, yeah, I could see that definitely, like, Mario needs to have his moment where it's like, "Okay, yeah, that's Super Mario.
Mhm.
That's why he's the man and why he's needed to do what he does."
Yeah.
So, I can feel that, and hopefully we will get that in the next one. Because I know, like, for fans, they love the movie, but
Mhm.
the critics blasted.
They were harsh. They were
Yeah,
now see, yeah, like I'm in the middle.
yeah,
But they were really harsh to that movie.
yeah,
Now they had to sort of eat crow when the box office does as well as it does. They kind of like, well, I guess never mind, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
At the very least, that tells the studio that okay, we can probably tighten this up and make it a better film. We've got the audience already. They know
yeah,
we know that they're coming in. The IP is strong.
yeah,
Let's give them a higher quality and see if the critics can come along with that. Because
yeah,
I think they would very much like to have sort of those critic scores kind of be in wherever the Despicable Me's and the Pixar films sort of end up, where they're the both fans and critics are both equally happy.
yeah,
I think that's the goal for these.
yeah. And then I have to get your thoughts, and you tell me why was Peaches snubbed at the Oscars?
Oh boy, I'm glad that he got to perform it like
Yeah,
that. I'm glad that that song got to be put like on air. That
yeah,
was fun.
yeah,
um it's funny because it's an earworm song. Like it's a
yeah,
song that even if you don't like the movie, that's going to be in your head
yeah,
for ages. And it was like long after I was like, oh, I can't get this out of my head.
yeah,
I don't even remember. It's Here's what's funny. I don't even remember what won, but I do
yeah,
remember that song, and
yeah,
that's frightening, and that
yeah,
shows you how sometimes, and I'll say this about the film industry, a lot of times they are out of touch with the mainstream media. They are all kind of work in this weird iconoclastic group where they're like, oh, we have to be higher brow. Like we can't
right,
like some of the things that are kind of like the action movies or the horror movies or the family movies that have this great Jack Black song, and we can't have that be the reason why we give an award. Um,
yeah,
and so sometimes they get too in their own heads, and
yeah,
hoity-toity is the word that I'll use sometimes, and I'm a part of it. And sometimes, sometimes I do get a little too
yeah.
hoity-toity.
I get it. I do still think that to me the greatest moment in Oscars history, a little bit of a tangent, was one seeing it performed, and I think it won as well. But seeing "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp" winning at the Oscars and being
What
performed.
was it? Was it? I'm trying to remember. I think it was George Clooney. I feel like introduced 3 6 Mafia, or gave them their. But I was like, that's amazing. Hearing George
Yeah,
Clooney like,
yeah. Like who would have thought that you would see Crunchy Black on the Oscar stage? All right, but stay with me, Mario fans. I know some of you may not know all of that, all your hip hop history there. But speaking of history, just have a little bit of fun here. What you kind of spoke to it already, but what is your history with Mario? And if you had to name, I probably didn't give you enough time to prepare for it, but
Okay.
if you had to name your top five
Ooh.
Mario games, what would those be?
Wow. Wow. All right. Yeah, you put me on the spot there. My history with Mario, I'm gonna have to like get there. My
Yeah.
history with Mario is I was 4. Like I'm born in 81. No, I was yeah, I was 4 when the first one first one hit NES, and I had an older brother that's 15 years older than me. So immediately was brought into our home. Like we had the NES, we had the one that had Mario / Duck Hunt, and so it was like the duo system with the gun and everything. And like I could not shake that game. It became ingrained in my DNA. Like I can hear people's ringtones and whatnot. They're playing like the castle theme or the. I'm like, yep, I know Mario. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep. And I loved how wildly different each of those first three games were. Like Mario 2, I love that game just as I know like that's the sort of the stepchild of the series because it's so different. But I love that, like getting to play as Princess and doing like floating with the like it's weird. It's weird, but I love that. And like they took chances and wild swings with those Mario games, and it always just sort of stuck with me. And then I was of an age enough with Mario 3, because The Wizard was a movie that came out at that time, and that was a big sort of selling point to that movie, and sort of that built up the even more interest in the game. And so I feel like that duo of Mario 3 and Mario World probably just changed platforms as a whole. Like those are two of the biggest, I think, platform games that just exist and like remembered in zeitgeist. And it's crazy how close they are released to each other. I did not realize that until I started doing homework. I was like, wait, they're right on top of each other and they're released. And then that 90s run, Mario 64 came out in 96.
Yeah.
Changed it again. Like those 3D platformers, it completely swatched. What's interesting for me in that 90s run, I was a kid of the Blockbuster era, and so I used to go walk the Blockbuster, and like they would have all the games you could possibly think of, and like I got through my litany of Mario games, just like offshoots that just randomly existed in that time, and I played everything you could think of. Mario's Time Machine. People, what the heck is that? Yep, it's a game. It's a game. He goes to get some old artifacts of the past. It's there. Mario's Missing. I used to love. I was like, what? There's a Where's Waldo of Mario? Sure, let's do it. All right, why not? The litany of games that you could play that just had some type of Mario or Yoshi IP on it. Of course, Luigi's Mansion. I had a Mario Paint. I had the whole little board and like everything that you could do with. I loved Mario Paint. Like loved that game. I kid you not, that run of Mario of 90s, Mario Soccer, Mario Baseball, Golf, all of it. Played it all, loved it all. And like Blockbuster was that weird where you go to get it for 5 days, enjoy it, play it, and maybe rent it again. But like I got to sort of test everything that sort of existed in that run. I think Yoshi's Cookies, another like what are these games? they're all a part of this world. And so I lived and breathed that. And I was only a Nintendo head for pretty much that from 86 to middle of college. I only had a Nintendo system. Like that's all I had was NES, Super NES, 64 to the GameCube. That was all I had. I didn't get into the PS stuff or Sony stuff until college, and so it was all Nintendo for me. So I bred and bled Mario and anything that was offset from that for those first few years. And Mario Kart. Don't get me started. The amount of time that I played Mario Kart in college, it would probably lap my last 7 years of gaming alone, just in that 4-year time span. It was pure insanity. So Mario Kart 64 is definitely one of the games that I would have to put as like that's one of my top Mario games. Period. Mario 64 also would be on that list.
Gotta have that one.
I would. I don't want to put both of them on there, but I'm gonna have to. If I had to choose between the two of them, I would put Mario 3 before I would put Mario World. Just as I just think that changed everything as far as the platforming side of things. After that, it gets a little interesting. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and use an off-brand. I'd say Smash Brothers is one of them. I would say Super Smash Brothers is one of them. And then I'm gonna think of another one. You know what I really love? It's in that blockbuster run up to that, and it's people do they're starting to get its love. That Super Mario RPG
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
fantastic game.
Yeah. I love that
Um,
game.
yeah, and I love what I did was kind of like I take one from almost like every sort of version. Like I think the platform that you have to have Mario 3 and you have to have 64 because that's two
Yeah.
different versions of the Mario sort of platforming game. Mario Kart is a legend, and I think everything is sort of tried to come back and to emulate. That's one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah.
And then I think Mario RPG just doesn't get enough love, but it's starting to people understand how that game that means. Um, and yeah, I and Smash Brothers is yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is what it is.
All are all
I
classics.
have a dark, but Mario Paint is. I spent a ton of time with Mario Paint. People don't know that game; it gets forgotten
Yeah.
because it was an app, like another piece you had to use with it.
Yeah.
But man, that was a good time. It was a good time in life.
So just a little teaser for you if you do end up getting that Switch 2. They put Mario Paint on the Nintendo
Oh, don't
Classics,
play with me!
and you can use the Joy-Con as a mouse
Don't play with
on Mario
me!
Paint.
Oh man!
Yeah. And I love Mario RPG. That was the game um that was the game that got me to give RPGs another chance, and then
Hmm.
helped me to fall in love with playing RPGs because I was
Same,
not a fan of them up until that point.
same. That game reintroduced me into a world because I also was the point I was like I hate RPGs. I hate RPGs,
Yeah,
and then it wound up taking me back and giving me a little bit more leeway with like the Final Fantasy stuff too,
yeah,
because I was anti that until I was like, oh, I can see what these could become if I spend a little bit more time with them.
yeah. Definitely 100% is like, okay, I actually like this.
Right.
Okay, maybe now I can give this another chance. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, this game is fire.
Right. Yeah.
um, All right, so yeah, like my history, I think I've shared this story before. I discovered Mario after being hospitalized from an asthma attack when I was in second grade.
Oh wow.
I was at the children's hospital, and this is also where I discovered the Ninja Turtles as well for the first time. So, like, one of the two greatest fandoms of my
Of all
childhood.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. um, so yeah, I was at the children's hospital, and during that time, I think maybe they still do, but definitely during that time, Nintendo was always donating NESs to children's
Mhm.
hospitals. And so I was walking around and went to this area where there was a Nintendo there with Mario. And I was like, what is this? Played it and was instantly like, I need this. I was like, Mom, you got to get me this for Christmas. And that Christmas, I got the NES. So that was how I got Mario came into my life, and then just like you, all the different touch points throughout
Mhm.
my life growing up with definitely Super Mario Brothers 3. That was a game where it's like, okay, I really enjoyed and liked the original Super Mario Brothers, but I loved Super Mario Brothers
Yeah.
3. Like,
Yeah.
replayed that game so
That's
many
a game that's
times.
so much replay value. That's crazy. You introduce the Koopa kids and the Wisp. It's just I just thinking about it gives me goosebumps now. It's just so
Right.
good.
And then yeah, Super Mario World was to drop two back-to-back bangers like that
Yeah.
is just like insane. And um Super Mario 64, like you said, that's one of those games. My wife has asked me if you could experience a game for the
For the
first
first
time
time, that's
ever,
the one.
that's one of those games
Yeah, it's
for
that one
me.
in Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
If I could play those for the first times again, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be in heaven.
And to experience like what they meant for
Yeah.
video games
Mhm.
during that time as well. Um, and then just and then I just been a fan of Mario throughout all the rest of these years. My top five would definitely, and we'll just say for today in no particular order, would definitely have to be Super Mario Brothers 3,
Mhm.
Super Mario World, Super Mario 64. Like you just gotta, those three have to
That's
be
the
in
three. Yeah.
there. And then I really love Super Mario Odyssey. I thought that game was fantastic. And Super Mario Galaxy.
You know
Speaking,
what's funny with Odyssey? I have that's a game I'm going to. It's on my homework to do list. It's one of those games that like I just missed because I
yeah,
got on my Switch late, and thus I didn't kind of go back to Mario.
yeah,
Other than me playing it at Comic Con for a little bit. I love what I play, but I
yeah,
just didn't get enough time to spend on it. And I was like, yeah, I got to come back to this.
yeah. That for me, that was one of those games where I was like, I am taking some time off, and this whole weekend I'm playing this game. Nobody
Yeah.
bother me. So yeah, that game was special, and definitely that made like that first year of the original Switch. Like that's what helped make that year legendary, to have a all time classic Zelda and an all time classic Mario in the same year. Yeah, that was um, that was a special time. Um, but we need to talk about. We already know. We mentioned it earlier. We know that we have a Zelda movie coming out here soon.
Do.
There's rumors of a Donkey Kong movie, and they even, I don't know, maybe gave a little tease of what could be possible for even like a Luigi's Mansion type movie. And
I want that
yes,
bad.
that would be amazing. But outside of those Nintendo properties, like those are their pillar
Yeah, those are the big
franchises,
ones. Yeah.
and not counting Pokemon, because Pokemon's just always been doing its own thing. What other Nintendo franchises or series do you think would make for a great movie or a great TV show?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit on my first. I have two. I'm going to cheat
Okay.
a little bit on the first one because it's not technically a Nintendo property, although he's like the long lost cousin that is always around at every family reunion. He's like, what are you doing here? You're not even part of our family, but you're just always
Right.
here. Um, and that's Mega Man. And I know he started there. He
Yeah.
subsequently has gotten a little filthy and he's playing around with other people, but he
Yeah.
was on Captain N, for God's
Yeah.
sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's Blue Bomber is, as far as I'm concerned, he's a Nintendo property. Even though I know
Yeah.
it's Capcom. That would be one that I really feel that I'd want to see. And I don't know if I want it live action or animated. I'm not sure, but I just want it.
Yeah.
Either way. The other one would be Star Fox. I would love to see a Star Fox.
Yes. Star Fox.
And I don't. It's interesting because Star Fox is a series that I think has sort of fallen out of zeitgeist because people don't play shooters, flying simulators on rails anymore. Like rails
Yeah.
games just don't. They're just not. They've lost their flavor, and so.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a good way to bring that franchise back into the zeitgeist, whether you do an animated show or I think it'll probably be better as like a TV series more than a film because there's so many characters that would be kind of cool to learn and spend the time with each of them.
Yeah.
But I think that would also help sort of bring that series back to life and then perhaps make another flying simulator, but just then obviously take it off rails because I think that's the biggest thing that sort of was hamstringing that series as it got older.
Yeah.
But I would love to bring that series. That was my baby for a while there. Like I would love to see that back in some type of form. Those two are my two that I would love to see around.
Nice. That's awesome. Like, because I would not have called Mega Man, but Mega Man would be amazing. I would want that one to be animated. I think. Well, I would want that one to be like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
That would be, and yeah, I would definitely be down for Star Fox because it's got that space soap opera thing. So it's written right there. Like it could
Right.
be a Star Trek, Star Wars type of thing, and like you said, definitely could bring more people back to the game now with it having a hit show or hit movie. So I would love to see that. I think like game wise, I think it would be cool to maybe reinvigorate Star Fox in a Nintendo way, that could be like their Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Have that space setting where you can have your shooting segments, but then you have your
Your
um
moments where you're trying to get through, yeah, like on land. Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
I
and,
agree.
and just telling a crazy story. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'd be down for that. Um, for me, like the big one that I think would make a really cool movie, and especially because it was already kind of based off of a movie to begin with, and that's Metroid. I
Mm-hmm.
would look. It would be really cool to see the original Nintendo First Lady on the big screen,
Yeah.
and they already have someone that's you know angling to play that role with Brie Larson, and they have that relationship
Yeah.
already. Like she's worked with them, so I think that would be something cool. Because for those that don't know, they kind of based the original story of Metroid, or a lot of its motif, off of the Aliens movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, and then I think a really good TV show, especially like maybe like an anime or something like that, Fire Emblem or Xenoblade. Those would be that would be my pick
I think
for.
there's a huge audience for, especially considering what's happening at the movie theaters right now with
Yes,
Demon Slayer killing. I think there's an audience that you can easily just make tons of fans, and get, you would then get fans to go back to play the game, because they there may not be as much of an awareness of the games, but that
yeah,
show, if they do it correctly, would bring them back in droves.
yeah, yeah, that would be hype. That like I was even like I had never even heard of a Demon Slayer before with
No
the
idea.
first movie,
Yeah,
and was like, okay, yeah, let's go check it out. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, okay, let's check out the show. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that would be really cool for like something like a Fire Emblem or Xenoblade. But so we talked about a lot of these Nintendo franchises, but they aren't the only video games that have been adapted in
Hmm.
Hollywood, and there's been more and more adaptations that have been coming out now, where it's like now video games are the new comic book
They are.
movie
They
for
are.
the
Yeah,
yeah
studios are mining the video game lockers now to try to find IP to collect. Yeah.
yeah trying to find the next big hit. But from what we've had throughout the years, from the 80s, 90s, 2000s to even now, what are your greatest video game movies or TV shows of all time?
We've had a lot of bad ones, like a lot of bad
Yeah,
ones. It's been a rough go for these game these gaming
yeah,
movies. And each time they've always suckered me back in, like, oh, this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one. So I have a guilty pleasure that I'm going to start off with, and I can admit that it is not a great film, but it is a movie that anytime that it is on TV, and I'm passing by, or I just hear the theme song, I'm screaming Mortal Kombat every time
yes,
that
yes. I
happens from the
hey,
top of my lungs.
yeah, I love the first one.
Yeah. Um, I remember where I was. I remember seeing. I remember the energy that was behind that, and I remember sitting in that theater and hearing the first time Scorpion says "Get over here" and losing my mind.
Yes,
um, Now I can admit that it's not a film that is like, oh, that's a great film, but man, it hits all the points of like,
yeah.
that's what I needed for that Mortal Kombat movie.
It's
So yeah,
90s in all the best ways possible.
all the best ways you can think about it. Yeah, you hear that. For the longest, it's weird because New Line Cinema was like Freddy and Turtles, but for the longest, seeing that New Line film strip that came up, I automatically put the Mortal Kombat theme behind it, even though it wasn't attached to any movies that I was seeing with New Line Cinema anymore. It's like, oh, Mortal Kombat. Um, yeah, I love that movie. Now, granted, the sequel after that, we want to talk about that, but it subsequently got worse. But that moment, that energy that was behind that first film, you can't really match that.
Yeah,
And a lot of it, it's hard. It's a film hard to watch now and understand that the time that we were in when that came out, it
yeah,
was huge. It was everything.
yeah,
Um, Fast forward, I mean, we've had some that have done great at box office, may not be good. I'm not a big fan of the Resident Evil movies. any of them.
They're a guilty
um,
pleasure for me.
I liked them at the start, like the first two or
Yeah,
three. I really dug. They subsequently got kind of like weird, like more away from what the brand of Resident Evil was as they went along.
yeah.
But if I were to say, I think what over the last 5 years, there's been a lot more care that has gone into doing what these IPs and these properties do well. I think the biggest issue that I always had with some of the gaming adaptations from the past is that they would just take the shell or the idea or the name of a game and strip it of everything that actually meant, and it's kind of like, all right, we're gonna do our own thing. Like Double Dragons, when that comes to mind, was like, this has nothing to do with anything that was in the gaming lore. Mario, the original, the
Yeah,
John Leguizamo movie, kind of falls
yeah.
into that category too, although it's a little closer than Double Dragon. Double Dragon just didn't care at all. And so you start getting stuff like Last of Us, which I think for me is probably bar none the best version of an adaptation. It doesn't hurt that the person who made the game is also a producer and writer on
Involved.
the show, so that's
Yeah.
kind of why it still keeps a lot of the weight and heart and angst of that. That's just not a game, but it's what I noticed about Last of Us, because I was going to watch it regardless. I was watching it because I'm a fan of the game. Even though I knew what was going to happen, it still broke my heart every time that it was going along. But what worked about that movie is that I was watching that and planning to watch it by myself. And then my wife, who has zero interest in zombie movies, like hates them,
Yeah.
watched an episode while I was watching it off to the side, and she then became hooked. And from that point on, she was like, when is Last of Us happening? And I think that show did the thing that a lot of video game adaptations want to attempt to do, is to get an audience that has no care about this game. Like, I don't know what the game is, and that's what that series did. That series made it so we're just making a good show and good movie first that audiences of all can get into it. If you're a gamer and you know what's going to happen, cool, keep your mouth shut, don't say anything. Let's enjoy this ride. Let's enjoy this ride together. And I think they do that is probably the bar. I would say Fallout is also on that same category as getting outside audiences to do that. And it's interesting, they do it differently. Last of Us is almost like a direct, like, we're going to go beat by beat, whereas Fallout is like, we're going to take the idea and put it in a different time, but still
Tell
have
our
that
own
world
story.
of the feeling. Yeah, and so neither is wrong or right. They both just do it really good. Well, I think TV for those was the better angle because you get a little bit more long form content. Movies are hard sometimes when you're adapting games because there's a lot of world to put into like 2 hours or 2 hours less. So, but those would be my two that I'm like, that's the bar. And then Mortal Kombat, yes.
Yeah, like definitely I think like for those, like, TV show was the perfect way to go because like you said, these games are 10, 12, 20 plus hours long, so to try to condense all of that story into just 2 hours
it's unheard
have
of.
that would have not done them justice.
Yeah.
And I really, what I loved about The Last of Us is that it definitely did a good job of giving you that tension that we kind of lost in the binging era, where it gave you that tension of like, what's going to happen next week? Even if you knew what was going to happen, you're like, how are they going to execute it next week?
Yeah. I think more shows, it's a hard thing to do. This is a Hollywood thing. It's a hard thing to do. I think more shows should go back to the every episode a week thing as opposed to the binging, because what happens with the binging is kind of like homework when you were younger. You would cram and study and like, oh, I'm going to watch it all, I'm going to study, and then absolutely forget it once a couple of times. Whereas if you sit on something for a week and you can talk about it, becomes water cooler discussion. You can like, oh, what's going to happen next? Even in our case of Last of Us, where we knew what was going to happen, you'd be like, are they going to pull it off? Are they going to go? They're not going to go for it. They're not going to go. And you get to talking points. So I think they were smart and sort of made it become bigger than the show, and we don't have that happening too much if you just binge it all at once.
It allows it to be like even become more of a cultural touch point when you have that week to week, because when you have the binging way, like not everybody is binging at
the same time,
so it's like you can't really talk about things as they're happening and stuff. So
it allows everybody to get on the same page before we get to the next
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be like, I was all like, no, yeah, just drop everything,
Same.
binge. But like, as I look back on it, like outside of a handful of Netflix shows, there's a lot of their shows where it's like, I watched them and then I don't
I
remember.
couldn't tell you. Like it's funny because that's what made me change my mind against binging. And I love Ozarks, love it to death. But I
Yeah.
watched that last season in the binge form, and I was like, I could not tell you what happened in that fourth season. Like, I have no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely The Last of Us is up there for me, and Fallout. I really love those. And similar to what you said, like my wife, she hadn't seen or even knew what The Last of Us was, but she watched the show with
Interesting.
me,
Okay.
and it actually got her interested in wanting to check out the game, or at least maybe watch me play
Yeah.
play the game.
It was
And what's that?
spoiler for those who have not played game 2 or the second season, but like I knew the big thing that was going to go down, and she didn't. So it's kind of like also just sitting on them, like, okay, be quiet, make it through, and then
Yeah,
just like, and then just kind of watch her, like, is this real? I'm like, yeah, no, he gone.
yeah, yep. He's gone. I'll say the one I won't say what happened for those who
Or
don't
yes.
want spoilers, but in the first season of The Last of Us, with the brothers,
Hmm.
that's all I'll say.
Hmm.
Um, like I knew what was going to happen, but not thinking about it. With her not knowing what happened, yeah, I felt terrible when I saw her reaction to what went down.
It's a rough. I forget how much I just both of those games. I just sat there with like a bottle of whiskey. Like, well, drop me. Here you go. Put me through
Yeah, yeah.
it.
This is the only way I'm getting through this. But yeah, so those two are great. Definitely for me, the Super Mario movie is up there, and Sonic. I do
I will
like.
say, I was going to say my other one, if I had to put a fourth, Sonic. I like them all, but Sonic 3 is phenomenal.
It's yeah. Sonic 3 was by far the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it's like I get why they have them in there, but the less and less that we get of
Of
the
the humans,
humans,
yeah,
and the more we get of the Sonic characters, the
the better.
better the movies
Yeah,
get.
yeah.
um,
Agreed.
and then yeah, I had that soft spot in my heart for that first Mortal Kombat movie.
It's fun, man. You can't shake it.
Yeah, and I think what they have the Mortal Kombat collection coming out here soon, and it has a documentary on it. So I hope that they talk about in that documentary the Mortal Mondays, where those commercials where they just had people yelling in random places,
Yeah.
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, thank you so much for joining me on the show today, there, Terrence. Where can the people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I run the channel Hollywood Already Did It, where me and my co-host Blake Schultz, we do a podcast talking about sequels, reboots, remakes, whatever the case may be. I also on that same channel do like reviews of TV shows and other movies that don't sort of fit into that purview. And you can find me on X. I call it Twitter. I just doing it for now.
Yeah.
I call it on X at Hollywood ADI, or Twitter for me at Terrence Tatum.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for watching. And for more Nintendo Switch 2 and gaming discussion, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you later. Have a good one. Peace.
Later.